Hi, I'm Aneesa.
Hello, I'm Julian, and we're Earth and Brackets, and we're here to take you on a journey through the key moments that have brought us to the current stage of negotiations under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change.
So, once upon a time, in the year 1997, there was an agreement amongst parties. They came from far and wide to the land of the rising sun, the land of remaining nuclear fumes. But let's not get sidetracked.
They came together in a brave and not so ambitious effort to achieve one common objective for the greater good through teeny tiny steps, cleaning up the atmosphere that they messed up in the first place. Well, wait.
They? What do you mean by they?
John. Picture this. Warning. Images of history repeating itself. Them, those guys, right there, the developed world. John. The historical responsible. The fossil fuel fatties.
Okay, back to business. Just kidding, mitigation. In the Kyoto Protocol, the industrialized world, or Annex 1, wink wink, was legally bound to reduce their emissions by 5% from 1990 levels.
Champions in the field of environmental destruction and consumption of resources and common atmospheric space. That wasn't theirs to begin with. With this, they reached the ever-growing summit. Development.
Developed countries like the EU and Australia, the global economic powers, signed on with wishy-washy promises and they actually came together.
But surprise, the US jumped ship. Too many climate deniers and laws that don't let them ratify the agreement in Congress.
Fast forward 10 years. Whoosh. Don't worry, you didn't miss much. We're in tropical Southeast Asia, Bali. Climate scientists got together. The fourth Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report came out. Oh no, the tiny steps of the last 10 years are not enough. These were supposed to guide the political decisions of the world leaders. Imagine, at this point, following scientific advice is considered politically radical. So, after a long and tedious watering down of text by America, even Big Mama EU, the old empires want an ambition, they cornered the biggest polluter. This new agreement made the ship jumpers climb back up and then walk the plank. They had to make emission cuts. The Bali Action Plan was born.
Side note, this was probably the closest we've ever gotten to a just and equitable deal that takes steps to pay the climate debt. But it was still too little and weak.
So one track of the roadmap was focused on furthering Kyoto Protocol work, and the other, which was called the Ad Hoc Working Group on Long-Term Cooperative Action, or the AWG-LCA, what an exciting name, was focused on comparable mitigation to KP work and mitigation and adaptation as a result of inaction by non-Annex 1 or developing countries depending on finance, tech transfer, and capacity building. This was a stab at implementing one of the key principles of the Convention, common but differentiated responsibility and respective capabilities. Copenhagen. Yay! A new agreement to guide the climate regime will come out of the AWG-LCA. More like Floppenhagen happened. This was where we start to go downhill, leaving all the past in the past. 2010. Say hola to spring break in Cancun. Welcome to the world of pledge and review. Kick back, relax after a long history of consumption and emissions, leave all your responsibilities behind, get those shades on and watch the world burn. Basically, it's a free-for-all where countries pledge to mitigate however much they feel like mitigating. I mean, it doesn't really matter that some countries polluted a lot more than others in the past, right? Let's shift the burden to the developing world.
COP17 in South Africa. The dying LCA and the Kyoto Protocol were at the door of their funeral. The LCA, with most of its mandate unfinished, and the KP with no second commitment period, unfinished work under the first commitment period, and a troop of convention free riders that jump ship. Japan, Canada, etc. No funding, no commitments, no implementation. Yay! A new track was added to the climate regime. The Ad Hoc Working Group on the Durban Platform for Enhanced Action, or ADP. This put the last nail on the coffin, so that the Kyoto Protocol could be buried and all the old regime components, including the historical responsibilities and common but differentiated responsibilities, could be undetermined and questioned.
A new agreement to be done by 2015 and implemented by 2020. They had high hopes, no? Okay, now Arabian Nights and Oil Heaven, drill baby drill. Doha 2012. Here, the ADP was officially divided into two work streams. Work Stream 1 for the post-2015 plans, and Work Stream 2 to create ambition in the 5-year vacuum of activity between 2015 and 2020. In other words, the pre-2020. or West Stream 2. Wow, so efficient, they thought of everything. Let's travel up to the land where the air is scented with the fumes of coal. Warsaw, Poland. Here was the war of the words. The conversation on the structure of the new agreement began, and how it went down. Developed countries wanted the conversation to revolve around mitigation commitments for all countries. Yes, even the developing countries.
Remember equity? Historical responsibility? Common but differentiated responsibilities?
Yeah, let's just throw those out the window. Developing countries were outraged. They argued that there was so much more than mitigation. What about adaptation, finance, tech transfer, all that awesome stuff under the convention? Poor things. Time for the selfless developed countries to compromise. So they decided that the conversation would be divided into two things: intended nationally determined contributions, or INDCs, and the elements. The INDCs are...
Hey. Remember Pledge and Review?
Yup, it's back. Countries would now pledge how much they felt like mitigating without anyone enforcing an amount upon them. It's like saying, well, I'm feeling like a little bit of mitigation today, fine chaps. Oh, jolly well then, go ahead and mitigate a little piddly bit, just as you please. Bottom-up approach, folks, what a deal. The other conversation was the elements of the new agreement. Remember Bali and all the unfinished work, broken agreements, promises, crushed dreams? Let us jog your memory. Mitigation, adaptation, finance, tech transfer, capacity building, and something new, transparency of action support. Ooh. The crucial building blocks of the climate regime to take the necessary steps required to deal in a just way with the current and future effects of climate change.
So what has happened now, you say?
Let's think about this in terms of trains, not because this could crash or anything. The INDCs are unfortunately being framed as a fast-moving train focused on mitigation and express. No stops, just go, go, go. Let's get that bad boy signed. There's even a draft decision text out on it. The elements are a slow-moving train, filled with the needs of the passengers of the world. It's being pushed by the developing countries. It has many stops. No draft text for this one. The co-chairs of the ADP aren't playing the transparent roles that they should be. There's something fishy happening behind the scenes. Warning, history repeating itself. This one seems to be a trend.
Note on the least developed countries, or LDCs. When we say the developing world is pushing, these guys are the brakes on the train. The brakes that are being hit by particularly the EU. Important. The Alliance of Small Island States, or AOSIS, recently proposed that loss and damage be included under the ADP as an element. You know, just because their lives are at stake, just because we have done no real mitigation, and now the losses and damages need to be compensated. No biggie. It's not like Workstream 2 is kinda dead or anything. Just the door of the ambition gap being left wide open for the possibility of runaway climate change.
So strategically, pragmatically, and within an equitable framework, what do we need from Lima? Here's the game plan. Developing countries should not put forward any contributions until the elements are in the INDCs. The INDCs can't just be mitigation. We need all the other elements in there too. After this is done, developed countries need to be clear about their finance, tech transfer, and adaptation contributions. Only then should developing countries agree to be a part of this and put forward contributions based off of equity, CBDR, and historical responsibility. Do not forget all the broken agreements and the past. Let's be clear, this means honoring the historical responsibilities and the current capabilities of countries.
We need equity and justice. It's the only ambitious way forward.
Also, remember we need to stay below 2 degrees Celsius. Don't forget, we've already gone up by 0.8 degrees Celsius and we've only got 1.2 left.
Thank you. We're Earth in brackets, and we need system change, not climate change. Climate justice now.
Follow us on our blog, earthinbrackets.org, on our Twitter and our Facebook. It's time for a change.